third Sunday of Lent.
A reading from the book of Exodus. Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. Leading the flock across the desert, he came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There an angel of the Lord appeared to Moses in fire flaming out of a bush. As he looked on, he was surprised to see that the bush, though on fire, was not consumed. So Moses decided, I must go over to look at this remarkable sight and see why the bush is not burned. When the Lord saw him coming over to look at it more closely, God called out to him from the bush, Moses, Moses. He answered, Here I am. God said, Come no nearer. Remove the sandals from your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. I am the God of your fathers, he continued, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. But the Lord said, I have witnessed the affliction of my people in Egypt, and have heard their cry of complaint against their slave drivers. So I know well what they are suffering. Therefore, I have come down to rescue them from the hands of the Egyptians, and lead them out of that land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Moses said to God, But when I go to the Israelites and say to them, The God of your fathers has sent me to you, if they ask me, What is his name? What am I to tell them? God replied, I am who am. Then he added, This is what you shall tell the Israelites. I am sent me to you. God spoke further to Moses, Thus shall you say to the Israelites, The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever. Thus am I to be remembered through all generations. The word of the Lord.
The Lord is kind and merciful. 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 Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all my being, bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. The Lord is kind and merciful. The Lord is kind and merciful. He pardons all your iniquities. He heals all your ills. He redeems your life from destruction. He crowns you with kindness and compassion. The Lord is kind and merciful. The Lord is kind and merciful. The Lord secures justice and the rights of all the oppressed. He has made known his ways to Moses, and his deeds to the children of Israel. The Lord is kind and merciful. The Lord is kind and merciful. Merciful and gracious is the Lord, slow to anger and abounding in kindness. For as the heavens are high above the earth, so surpassing is his kindness toward those who fear him. The Lord is kind and merciful. The Lord is kind and merciful.
A reading from the first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. I do not want you to be unaware, brothers and sisters, that our ancestors were all under the cloud and all passed through the sea, and all of them were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. All ate the same spiritual food, and all drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank from a spiritual rock that followed them, and the rock was the Christ. Yet God was not pleased with most of them, for they were struck down in the desert. These things happened as examples for us, so that we might not desire evil things as they did. Do not grumble, as some of them did, and suffer death by the destroyer. These things happened to them as an example, and they have been written down as a warning to us, upon whom the end of the ages has come. Therefore, whoever thinks he is standing secure should take care not to fall. The word of the Lord.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Some people told Jesus about the Galileans, whose blood Pilate had mingled with the blood of their sacrifices. Jesus said to them in reply, "Do you think that because these Galileans suffered in this way, they were greater sinners than all other Galileans? By no means. But I tell you, if you do not repent, you will all perish as they did. Or those 18 people who were killed when the tower at Siloam fell on them, do you think they were more guilty than everyone else who lived in Jerusalem? By no means. But I tell you, if you do not repent, you will all perish as they did." And he told them this parable. There once was a person who had a fig tree planted in his orchard, and when he came in search of fruit on it but found none, he said to the gardener, "For 3 years now I have come in search of fruit on this fig tree but have found none. So cut it down. Why should it exhaust the soil?" He said to him in reply, "Sir, leave it for this year also, and I shall cultivate the ground around it and fertilize it. It may bear fruit in the future. If not, you can cut it down." The Gospel of the Lord.
February 28th, the third Sunday of Lent. The first reading comes from Exodus 3, 1-8 and 13-15. This is the story of how Moses sees the burning bush. Remember, he sees a bush that's burning and he approaches it because he has to see what's going on because the bush is not consumed. God is appearing to him in a theophany. And in fact, as Moses draws near, he has to take off his sandals because he realizes he's on holy ground. Notice that dual reaction. Part of him wants to draw nearer, and part of him wants to pull back out of fear because he's in the presence of the holy. This is a typical reaction to encountering the presence of God. God identifies himself as the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And he says that he's heard of the misery of these people in Egypt, and he's going to give them a land flowing with milk and honey. Now, he's going to give them that land, which will be taken away from the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites. And nowadays, that's not very politically correct. Why should one people be dispossessed and the other people given this land? But in the times of Moses, the understanding was that this was the chosen people, and God had to treat them in a special way. What name does God have? I am. Now the rabbis were asked, what does I am mean? And they give two answers. It either means I am who I am, and it's none of your business who I am. That God is the God of holiness, the God who is totally other. or it means I am who I am for you, who I've always been for you, who I'll always be for you. Then when God defines who God is, it's in terms of service to us. The second reading is from 1 Corinthians 10, 1-6 and 10-12. Paul speaks about how the Israelites received quasi-sacraments in the Old Testament. That when they passed through the sea, it was a type of baptism. When they ate the manna, it was a type of Eucharist. And yet the Israelites turned against God and God punished them. If God punished them because they sinned against these quasi-sacraments, how much more will God punish the Christians who sin against the real sacraments of baptism and the Eucharist? And that includes ourselves. We have been given an incredible gift in the sacraments. We have to live in a dignified way that respects the greatness of that which we received. The Gospel is from Luke 13, 1-9. Jesus warns the people that they shouldn't consider themselves better than those who have been killed in disasters, thinking that they're being punished for something and the people who are listening to them are any less guilty. Everybody is a sinner. Everybody has to convert. And then Jesus tells the parable of the fig tree that's not bearing any fruit. The gardener is ready to cut it down, but the owner says, oh no, dig around it, give it some fertilizer, and then see if it grows. If it doesn't give fruit in a year, then we'll cut it down. So two messages here. That God does give us time. God shows us His mercy so that we have a chance to convert. But in spite of that, there is a time, there is an accounting, and therefore today is the day to convert. We shouldn't presume upon God's mercy and do whatever we want and sin as much as we want, thinking God has to forgive us. That's just playing a game with God. We have to be honest. We have to turn our hearts over to Him as much as we can. And tomorrow, we do it a little more. And may God bless us.